Now, okay, I will start again. Right. Thank you, Peter Case. So let me rewind. First of all, thanks for being here. This is my second live streaming in English. I've been over a year doing different live streamings in Spanish and some tutorials in Blender in English. But right now, I want to start doing live streamings in English also. Great, thank you. So what I was going to talk today, it's about photogrammetry. And I want to review an overview, not just a review, but instead an overview of one software that appeared not long ago, that is AliceVision Meshroom. Is, I think, the most important photogrammetry piece of software in the open source community, because in the open source community you have many different softwares for photogrammetry, but they are just pieces of the puzzle. So you have to use several types of software that you go there and you calculate the sparse point cloud, and then you go to the other software where you can calculate the mesh, and then you go to other. It was a mess. So I don't think it was worth the effort of using those kind of pieces of software. Because there are alternatives, commercial alternatives, that are more or less cheap, that are accessible. So with the appearance of Meshroom, I think that accessible alternatives that, yeah, Cristobal is in English. I'm sorry. That kind of situation that we had before with the cheap software is going to change, because Meshroom delivers really good results, costing nothing. So it's really great. And so I want to do a brief overview on how does Meshroom works, and I want to compare it with other commercial alternatives, the ones that we use here in the studio. So for starters, what is photogrammetry? Photogrammetry is just a way of scanning things. It's just that, and you can use just a phone like that, or you can use any camera you have around your house. You can use whatever you want. But depending on several things, you are going to get better results or worse results. So it all depends on how much do you want to work and what hardware do you have. So for example, I have here, this is scene. I was waiting it to load the textures. I have this scene. This scene is done with many photos. You can see here, I've done this as a hobbyist. I'm a drone pilot, but just as a hobbyist. So I did this in an area I was able to fly the drone, and I made several photos with the drone and several photos with several handheld cameras. And with that, I've been able to recreate this edification, this building. And it was not hard. It's just you have to know how to make those photos and what details you have to take into account to be sure that you are not going to end up with a bunch of photos that is worth for nothing. So I'll talk about that a bit later. So this is one example. Let me load. This is another example. No. This is a pretty beautiful example. Yeah, it's awesome, awesomely beautiful. It's awesomely beautiful. Well, not really, but it's okay. Because this is me. And this took around, 10 minutes to shoot all the photos we need. We used just 66 images, 66 pictures, and it took more or less 1 hour for the entire process, and it delivers this kind of quality. And it's not, I didn't do that with a complex rig with 14 cameras or 40 cameras or something similar. It's just one handheld camera and one person that is shooting at my head. That's it. And of course, this delivers some problems. If you don't use that kind of rig with 40 cameras or something similar to shoot all the photos at once with exactly the same light, with exactly the same pose, this has some problems because this is not the real object. This is a remeshed object. We can see the geometry here. I just got this mesh and bring this to another software and import this in reality capture and just texture it inside here, because the real photogrammetry model is this one. And it looks kind of bad. It's a bit bad. It's wrong because it has some problems due to light. These problems, this difference in height in the model are produced because difference in lighting between photos. So it may seem that it's not a good scan, but on the contrary, this is an awesome scan. This is a great scan because you may be able to work with this scan. You may be able to reduce the mesh inside the software photogrammetry. I always recommend to reduce the mesh inside the software photogrammetry. Don't go to Blender, don't go to ZBrush and do a C remesher or a remesher in Blender. Don't do that. Just reduce the mesh inside the photogrammetry software because it has more information. Just because of that, it has more information to do a better decimation. So in this case, this model had 7,400,000 polygons, triangles, and this was reduced to 1 million triangles, I think. So it's not bad, but it has still some problems. We can see solid. It still has some problems, like this part. This is not solved, and you can reduce the model even more, but this problem is not going to disappear. So you have to work the model outside. This is with 50,000 triangles, and it's pretty good. You have to model to work with your model outside and use a third-party program to do a remesh, a proper retopology. And with that, you can do a proper retopology fast or with just a remesher and doing some sculpting. That is what I did here. Or you can do a proper remesher and then import back the results in the software and texture it. So this head has a texture calculated. Great, that's it. It's okay, but it has those problems. And if I go here, I have my remeshed model that has no problem at all. It's cleaned up. But I reached 50,000 triangles inside the photogrammetry software before I went out to a different software to rework the geometry. So this kind of result is pretty cool because you can use this for many things. You can use this as a final model, but you can use this to recreate an actor. You can use this to whatever you want. You can create whatever you want. You can use this to create assets for your game, assets for your short, whatever you want. So it's a really great way of work. So this is photogrammetry. I did a project especially a special project just to compare it between different packages. And this project is this one. I'm using right now. I'm using Reality Capture, not Meshroom, because it's the main software we use. But I'm going to go to Meshroom in a bit. Hi, Mag9, CBS. What about the texture in V3D? Well, if you go to the texture, if you export your model from the photogrammetry software to Blender, you can do that. And if you want, you can remesh or do a proper retopology, and then you can do your own UV channel with your own UVs, and then you can re-export this model to the software photogrammetry software, and reproject the texture inside the photogrammetry software. So you just do your UVs and you bring back the model and you do all your texturing inside the photogrammetry software. After that, you can go to a different part of the work that I will not cover today, that is delighting. And you can do property lighting to be able to relight the real objects inside a game engine, inside a Cycles, inside Arnold, inside whatever software you want. But this is a different part. That is a different part of the work. So for now, this is the model I used, and you can see that this is full of details, and it's pretty good. You can use this in any situation, in any short, in any video game, or whatever you want. So what are the difference? With my own UVs, yeah, with your own UVs, no problem with that. You can re-import the object and with your own UVs and re-project the texture. Let me read AliceVision Meshroom. Yeah, about the mobile camera. I'll talk about that later because it's not bad. You can do that, but it's not the best way to do things. But I'll talk about that later. So, what are the differences between all the softwares we have in the market? Because we have reality capture. There are more than what I'm going to review, but I'm going to review the main ones, the ones that I think they are the main ones in the commercial world for photogrammetry, especially for VFX and for animation, for 3D in general. So we have reality capture. We have, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but Agisoft Photoscan. And it delivers pretty good quality too. Also, it's really great. We have 3DF Sapphire Light that I did not review in the Spanish streaming. I just acquired this for this streaming, and I have to say it delivers also pretty good detail. It's not bad at all. We will talk about details achieved in each software. And we have Meshroom, and here you can see that, let me load this, it's going to take a while to load, that all the pictures are with a bad profile for lighting. And it happened to me in the Spanish live streaming, and I did not fix that yet. I will publish the fixed results in the different networks, in Twitter and Instagram. But I have not been able to finish this with the correct lighting. So we have this here, and let me reposition this. Okay, that's okay, and that's great. It's a pity because we cannot compare really the results. But it's okay because we can go to the mesh filtering, so we can see just the mesh. So what are the differences between those 4 pieces of software, those 4 packages? Well, the main difference is the price. This is the principal one. This is the main one. Let me go here. Of course, AliceVision is open source, so it's free. You can go here. Let me put the link in the chat. Here you have it. It's free, so you can download it right away and you can start working with it right away. Be aware, it requires an NVIDIA GPU. You need a CUDA-enabled GPU. This is important. But most of the softwares uses CUDA. So I'm not sure if any of these packages uses OpenCL, but I'm sure they use CUDA. So we have AliceVision that is free. We have Agisoft Photoscan, and Agisoft Photoscan comes in 2 editions: the professional edition and the standard edition. And there are pretty important differences. First of all, the price, online store. So this price is a big one, but you can get pretty good results with the standard edition by just $179 US. So I don't think it's expensive. It's a good price, but it lacks some good features that could be good to improve the results. If we go to the comparison between features, in Photoscan, you can do these many things. The most important ones are the 3D model generation, obviously. The panorama stitching is more or less good, and that's it. And that's it. And all the other ones are for the professional edition. But the professional edition is more used, I think, in topographic work. That is not so important for us. But there is one thing that could be very important, that is ground control points. Ground control points allows you to do to have high accuracy while doing your photogrammetry. So to say it in simple words, it's going to be easier to the software to identify those markers and align the cameras between its positions using those markers than just the photography. But it's not a problem. You can work with the standard edition and you get all of this. That is the basic toolset for photogrammetry. You can regenerate 3D models, you can generate textures, and that's it. And one pretty good thing of Agisoft Photoscan is that it has no pictures limit. You may use 3,000 pictures, you may use 5,000 pictures, whatever amount of pictures you want. You may use whatever amount of pictures you want, and you can use the standard edition with that. So that's cool. That's pretty cool. And why is this cool? Because if we go to capturing reality capture, where there is no limited or by here. First of all, the price. And you see those prices and you get dizzy. Okay? Those prices are pretty high. I don't like those prices at all. I'm sorry, but I don't like those prices at all. But you have one rental option. These are permanent licenses. But this is a rental option that you can rent here in the Capturing Reality website, or you can rent it in the Steam software, in the Steam app. So 99 euros for 3 months is not bad if you use it as a professional. If you are just a hobbyist, then I don't think it's worth the money. But as a professional, it's not bad. It delivers pretty good results. I have a bit of return. How about now? It's better? I think so. So it delivers more or less good results. But you have to pay for it every 3 months. You have to be online during the export phase. So not while you are calculating, but when you want to export or to render a picture to export your mesh, you have to be online, because they do some telemetry and they get some information about how is it going the software with your project and similar things. I think everything is anonymous, but you have to be online. And you have no technical support. This is not entirely true, because you have the forums, and in the forums they answer more or less well, they answer fast, and you have more people that is communicating with you and is helping you, so it's not bad at all. But it can do just 2,500 images per project. And this may be a problem. It's not a big problem, because with 2,500 pictures, you can do very big projects and you can do very good reconstructions, but it's a limit. And if you want to scan, for example, a street or a big place, you are going to need probably more than that. So it's a problem. And if you want no limit, you have to go for this version. With this, it's mad. I won't buy this ever. I'm sorry. And the bad thing about this permanent license is that it's also maxed out to 2,500 images per project. So I won't pay 4,000 euros for a software that is limited. and that can't use laser scans. While in the promo version, you are able to use laser scans. You can mix photographies with LiDAR scans. So this is a bit mad. And all these are just rentals. So yeah, you have 3 months, 1,875 euros, and you have no limits. But just as a rental, this is, I'm sorry, I can't understand this. And 750 euros for 1 month. I can't understand this. So that's it for reality capture. It has some great features because you can manually define important points or feature points in the pictures. You can also do that in Photoscan. So this is good because you can use your markers, but just define this is the point 1 and the point 1 in this other photo, and it will help the software to align things. It can use laser scans, it can use drone scans, because this is an important one. Every package can use drone photographies. Okay, every package, no matter what license you use, can use drone photographies. The difference is that when a package says that it can use a drone, it means that it can use the EXIF information, the GPS information, to help itself to align properly the pictures. So it's better if it can use that information. It's better. It's not just that you must use that version of the software to use drone photography. No, you can use drone photography. There is no problem with that. Imagine that you go up a ladder and 10 meters in the sky or 20 meters in the sky, and you do photos. It's exactly the same. So you can use drone photos. That's not a problem. But in this case, it will use the GPS information from the drone. In Photoscan, it won't use it. So for that reason, this is a bit better. And it delivers pretty good quality. I can assure you that. It delivers pretty good quality. So it's not bad. You have a good version for 99 euros every 3 months. It's more or less cheap. It's accessible. Now, let's go with the following one, that is 3D Zephyr Lite. And 3D Zephyr Lite, it's a good package. And I had not worked with it too much. I just did this project with this package because it has pretty big limitations in the light paid version and in the free version. The good thing is that it has a free version, but well, let's see. What is the main problem of the free version and the light version? The pictures limit. Okay, the free version is limited to 50 images, 50 pictures. You can barely do anything with 50 pictures. This project that is pretty simple has 109 pictures, and I could read half of the pictures, but in that situation, I'm not going to get the good quality I have here, and it's going to be harder for the software to identify the different positions of the cameras. So 50 pictures is nothing. I think it's nothing. For me, it was not worth to use it at all, even when it was free. The light version, which is paid, is not expensive. It's good, 149 euros plus VAT. It's not expensive, it's more or less good, but it has also a picture limit. So 500 pictures, you can do this, you can use this for some projects. Okay, there are some projects that you're going to be good with 500 pictures. This one, for example, is good enough. Just 100 pictures, and I have enough information, at least for the upper part, because this is the upper part. Let me check texture meshes. Okay, let's leave it loading. Yeah, so this is the upper part. For this, if I needed to recreate this with more detail, for example, all the below details, all these details, then I would have needed around 50 more pictures or so, I think, between 50 and 100 pictures or so. So this limit, it's also very limiting. It's not good at all. But well, you can use in the free version you can export just texture mesh and JPEG. I'm not sure what is the limit against full mesh export, because if you can export texture mesh, is the full mesh with texture, so I'm not sure. But in the light version you have some other limits. The good thing is that you can do that external UV mapping we said before, which is something you cannot do inside the free version. So again, it's bad. One pretty good thing that I have to test yet is that it supports full 360 cameras. So with a 360 camera, it's going to be easier to get better results faster. You can use your camera, your standard camera for the photos, and support that photos with 360 cameras that will help the location, will help to align all the pictures in the scene. So this is pretty cool. I have to test it yet. I don't have right now a 360 camera, but I'm going to test it. It has full masking capabilities, that is important, but that's it. And after that you have the Pro version, the Aerial. I'm going to ignore the Aerial. The Aerial is going to give you those features we said before with the GPS capabilities and something more. But the Pro version, with a permanent license, you have unlimited pictures, depending on your memory, unlimited video import, full multi-GPU, full camera, etc., etc., etc. A bunch more of features that are pretty good, like defining important points manually. This is something you cannot do in 3D Flow, in 3D Theory. You cannot define alignment points manually. This is something you can do in Reality Capture, you can do in Agisoft, Photoscan, but you cannot do here. So the profession is good, and the price, while it's not cheap, it's not bad. If you use this as a professional for professional projects, it's not bad at all. 2,400 euros is not bad. You can pay that with 1 or 2 projects, and you get a pretty good piece of software with a more or less good price in a permanent license. And I'm sure this is as good as Reality Capture, and it's better than the 4,000 euros license from Reality Capture. It's better, that's for sure. It's way better. I'm sure about that. But I'm not sure if this can use any kind of LiDAR scan. It could be great, but I'm not sure, because this is not named here. Point clone mesh import, I'm not sure. Control points, measurements, volumes, yeah. But I'm not sure. Well, point cloud, maybe with point cloud. Well, it's a great piece of software, I think, and it has a good price for a permanent license. It's important to think that it is a permanent license. It's not a subscription. It's not anything temporary. It's your license. So this is good. And finally, we have AliceVision Meshroom, the one I wanted to talk about. And what features do AliceVision have? So Meshroom is part of, let's say, it's part of an ongoing movement inside AliceVision, because Meshroom is just the graphical user interface, the UI for AliceVision. Meshroom is just the GUI of AliceVision. If we go here, we can see what is AliceVision. AliceVision is just a library, okay, a computer vision framework. So it includes a lot of things. It's the main part of every photogrammetry software, and it's pretty good because, well, we'll go to review the results in a minute, but it has all this. It has also CC tag. It's not implemented yet, but CC tag allows you to use concentric circles tags. So concentric circles pictures that you can put in your scene to help the software to align the cameras. So this is going to allow Meshroom to get pretty high quality results. Much better results, I think, I'm not sure, but I think it's going to deliver much better results than 3ds Zephyr Lite, than Capture Reality, Reality Capture Promo, and then Agisoft Photoscan Standard Edition. I'm convinced that it's going to deliver better results than all these pieces of software. And it has more things that I cannot understand right now, that like pop shift. It's something that I think is going to be implemented, but I'm not sure what it does. But it's pretty great. So let's review the software itself and the pictures we did to create these scenes. First of all, let's go to AliceVision, and here we have the mesh. It's a pretty good mesh. This mesh is already filtered. Here we have the raw mesh. There are a lot of settings here for advanced configuration, but I've been unable to find the documentation for all this, so I cannot explain you how to modify this. But it works pretty well right out of the installation. You can just run the software, drag here the pictures, and press start, and it will go over all these nodes and give you the result, the texture result. So it's pretty well. If you want to accelerate things, you can just press here and click compute, and it will compute all the tree just until the node you set compute. So it's pretty good. Now it's loading the raw mesh. Let's review a different mesh. Let's go to Photoscan. This is Photoscan, and this is the mesh from Photoscan. It's not bad. It does a good work with the tree, for example. I think it's a bit better work than other packages, but it fails where AliceVision also fails. That is reconstructing this piece, this part of the detail of the table. It fails here. And for this situation, I use this kind of pictures. So, well, these are the points. But let me go to the folder where I have the pictures. These are the pictures. And as you can see, they have good lighting. Here. They have good lighting, they have good detail, they are in focus. So it had enough detail, enough quality in the pictures to recreate this. And you'll see why I say that. On the contrary, AliceVision had a pretty bad set of pictures, like this one, because they are the CR2, they are the raw photos that I imported here. And while you can import photos as raw in AliceVision, the picture profile it loads destroys the images, so don't do that. Just convert your pictures to 8-bit pictures, to JPEG, to PNG, to TIFF, and load the correct pictures here. So AliceVision Meshroom was in disadvantage. Sorry for my English speaking. It was in disadvantage, and it recreated a pretty good mesh. This is the raw mesh with this kind of details in the wood. And it's not bad because it recreated more or less the full path of this detail with the worst pictures it can have. So it's doing a very good result. For example, this garden tool is really good. And it's free, guys, it's open source. So in Photoscan, as I said, it has been unable to recreate this, which is a pity. It's a problem. In general, comparing this with reality capture, I prefer the geometry it usually creates. The geometry Photoscan usually creates. But the picture, the textures that Photoscan creates, I think they are a bit worse than the texture created by Photoscan. So here are the textures. In this case, it's not bad, but you can see this chain here, it's pretty bad. I don't like this at all. This is not a good result in my opinion. It's not bad. I like the tree, I like some details, but the main character in the scene, the table, while it's not bad, it's not as good as it can be. So let's leave it here. Let's go to review this in Photoscan. As you can see, Photoscan created a very, very good result. It's astonishing. You can go here. The chain is not as good as I would like it to be, the texture especially, but you have the full detail of this detail in the table. And this is pretty good. But in this case, Photoscan took the CR2, the raw pictures, but it applied the correct picture profile. So it has some leverage over Meshroom 2. But as you can see, the result is pretty good. We can see the mesh, just the mesh. Here we have it. And here you can see all the details in the mesh, like this one. We can go to Photoscan and compare the mesh. Well, this is a bit decimated. I think this is not I did not use the highest version of the mesh building. Yes, I use the medium level. So, okay, I will recreate this and post the results and the comparison in the social networks, in Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook probably too. But I think the result of reality capture is better, no matter, because especially because reality capture is pretty fast. It's really damn fast. For this, it took like half an hour for all the process, from aligning the pictures to bringing the texture model, the textured model. It was half an hour more or less. For this, for Photoscan for this, it took more or less like 1 hour. So it's double the time, more or less. And it has less detail. It's computed with the medium detail profile. So with the high profile, I think Photoscan it may go to 4 hours or so, maybe 2 or 3, but I think 4 hours. And let's go with 3D Zephyr. And 3D Zephyr was also pretty fast. It took around half hour, 45 minutes, I think. The result is not bad. I think the quality of the geometry, I don't want to see the manual selection here. Shader options. Where is the shader options here? Test. Yeah, test. That's it. So it's a good result. It's pretty fast, and it more or less recreated this detail. But again, it played with advantage, with leverage against Meshroom, because it has the good pictures. So the result is pretty good, I have to say. It's pretty good. Let's change the shader again. Where is the shader window? Here. Default. The result is pretty good. The texture could be calculated with more detail, I think, because I used four 4K textures for this model, and I think it could have a bit more detail. Leonardo, great, thank you, welcome. So it's a good software, it's a good piece of software, and the result is pretty good. And if we go back to Meshroom, the result is very good. I really like this result because check this. You have this detail of this table, this detail of this table, this detail of this table, and you don't have this here. Maybe in Photoscan? Yeah, in reality capture you have it a bit, but I think Meshroom is more detailed. It's very good. But on the contrary, the garden tool, this garden tool, it's a bit noisy. So we can go here and you can see the detail, reality captured here, recreated here. This is amazing. And in Meshroom, it has not been able to capture this correctly and to capture these details. It has to evolve. I think it has a bit of way ahead because it has to evolve. But it gets pretty good result in other parts, like this one. And it has been able to recreate more or less this. So what is the good part of that? About that? The good part is that you can import your geometry. You can remesh this, you can reconstruct this piece of mesh. You can even reconstruct this with its teeth and import this here and recalculate the texture. So you will get the correct model with a proper mesh and with the correct texture with your own UVs. So I still think Meshroom is pretty good. It may be better, and it will be better when they include CC tag and when they improve some of the algorithms and when we can understand this, because this is the main engine behind all the reconstruction. So when we can understand this and we can configure this for every project, then I think Meshroom is going to deliver much better results than this, and this is good. So it's pretty good to have an open source photogrammetry software that can deliver such good results, and it's going to be amazing, guys. It's going to be amazing. So now, regarding the technique to capture these photographies, this photogrammetry, Mag9 asked about the tutorial of CG Geek where he made a video with Meshroom and we're using the mobile phone as a camera. What is my opinion about that? It's good enough. You can use this. You can use a mobile phone for this. But what are the characteristics that a good picture for photogrammetry should have? Let me go to the folder and let's pick, let's see, this picture, for example. Hello. This picture. There are several things that are important, but the most important ones are that they should be clear, crisp. So they should be in focus as much as it's possible. And while you can do this with a mobile phone, the result you are going to get from a mobile phone is going to be first a JPEG. So it's going to be compressed. And this is not good at all because you are going to lose detail. And secondly, the lens is not pretty big. It's a very small lens. So you are going to get noise. Even in well-lit situations like this one, you are going to get a bit of noise. So it's not as good as it can be. And you should use manual settings like CG Geek said, but the manual settings you can use in your mobile phone are limited. Even when you use a RAW camera, a RAW app camera or something similar, they are limited to the features your camera have, and the features from the cameras of the mobile phones are not pretty good. Are not bad for what they are designed, are great, especially the high quality ones, but they are limited. They are limited. They are going to give you noise. You may have blurring problems because the camera may increase the ISO, but you don't have enough light for some situation, and the movement, the small movement of your hands is going to give you a blurred image. So a blurred image is completely useless. So, well, it's a way to do it, but it's not the best way. What could be the best way and a cheap one could be to acquire something like this. And you may think that this camera is expensive, but it is not. Check, I saw this the other day. Check the family of this camera. Let me refocus. This is a 350D. I think it was called Rebel already at that time. You can get this even for 50 euros, I think. 50 euros, 100 euros as much. And you get a proper camera, not a big amount of megapixels, because as much megapixels you have is better. But you can get pretty good camera. You can replace the lens, which is important because this is the kit lens. It's a bad lens. It's not a good lens because the f number of the lens is going to affect you a lot with the photography. You need a lens with a low f number, not because you are going to use that low number, because you want to be as good as possible and to deliver as crisp pictures as possible. So with I don't have here the other lens, but with a 24mm f2.8, you are going to be pretty good. With 50mm 1.4, you are going to be pretty good. But the f number you are going to use is f8. Sorry, f8. Why? Because usually the lenses deliver the most crisp images at f8, more or less. f7, f8. So you need a good lens to deliver a pretty good image quality at f8. Also, another thing is that here you have real manual settings. So you can configure your aperture, you can configure your speed, you can configure your ISO. Of course, this is an APS-C sensor. It's much bigger than this one, but it's not as big as a full frame sensor. It may give you a bit of noise in some situations. But if you use with ISO 100, ISO 200, or even ISO 400, you are going to get pretty good photos, pretty good pictures. And I think I used I think I used this camera for these pictures. I'm not sure. Let me check. No, I use the 550D. I have 3 cameras, and I use the 550D, which is the one I'm using to do the live streaming. And the lens was 50mm, I think. The 50mm at 1.8 is the cheap 50mm from Canon, and it cost 100 euros as fixed hand, I think. So it's a pretty good combo. A cheap DSLR with a good manual control and a cheap lens that will deliver you good image quality. So it's not bad, you can use your phone, but I think it's not worth it. Invest a bit in an old camera like this one, in a good cheap lens like this one. This is not like this one, like the 50mm, and you're going to be great. You are going to get great results on photogrammetry. Also, it's better if you use, or I usually use, if you can as a professional, because this is going to cost you a lot more. Of course, it's better if you use a full frame camera. But in my case, for example, I use whatever camera I have around. So my kit for photogrammetry, for scanning, are composed by 3 main cameras that are this cheap one, the 550D, oh, I broke it, the 550D, and one 5D Mark III. And these are for the main photos. And I have also a GoPro that I put at the top of the tripod I use. I use a long tripod to put the 3 cameras with different angles, with different point of views, and a GoPro in the upper part, not to get good quality results in texturing, but to make it easier to the photogrammetry software to align the cameras, because the GoPro have a wide angle view. The bad thing is the quality of the GoPro pictures is not too good. I use a GoPro Hero 5 Black, and it's not bad for sports, but it's not too good for photogrammetry. You are going to get well, it's going to be limited by the sensor. I think the new GoPro is going to deliver for 24 megapixels because the GoPro Hero 6, because the Hero 5 gives, I think, 12 megapixels. Let me read the questions. Great, Pichuneke. You can use your phone. Don't worry, you can use your phone. If you are poor and you cannot acquire a camera, don't worry, you can use your phone. You are going to get more or less good results. But the texture part, for example, the texturing part is going to suffer. It's not going to deliver this quality. It's basically impossible because the pictures from the phone is not going to be as good as the pictures from a DSLR. So if you look it closely, it's not as good. But this is because I didn't did a detailed scan. You can see here all the pictures, and if I had time and I were able, I would do another bunch of pictures just for the details of the table and another bunch of pictures for the lower part of the table. Jorge Reyes, can you post here in the chat the characteristics of the model? Yeah, I can post the characteristics. This is the Canon EOS 350D. You can look for it in second-hand markets because it is not produced anymore. And I also use Canon EOS 50D. 550D, sorry, and which is the Revel 3Ti, I think, and the Canon EOS 5D Mark III. But for example, you can acquire not as cheap as a 350D, but you can acquire a 5D Mark II more or less cheap, or even a 5D Mark I that is not going to deliver as much megapixels as the 5D Mark III, or I think even as the 550D, but it's going to deliver a free noise picture because it's going to be a full frame sensor. So it's going to give you better pictures. The size of the picture is not everything in photogrammetry. In fact, many times the software does what they call an undersample thing. Let me check here in alignment, settings. Here, they do downscale factor. They do downscale the pictures just because it's easier to the software to understand the picture. Okay, I lost my scene residue. It's easy to the software to understand the picture with a smaller picture. And for example, for reconstruction, in this case, the image is downscaled at a half size. So the size of the pictures is not as important as the crisp focus of the pictures and the lighting in the pictures. That the software, you have to be sure that the software is going to be able to look in your pictures. Okay, that's it. I think we reviewed everything. Mark 9, do you see a solution on the horizon to make a good photo scan of translucent objects? I think of lids and not really, but the problem is not the translucency. The translucency is something more or less static, so it can be recreated, because while the light is static, the translucency is not going to change. While your subject, your target, is static, is not going to change. So that is not the problem. What is the problem with nature objects or with specular objects? In fact, that is the problem, the specularity. If you have a high reflective object, you are going to have a big problem recreating it. Why? Because the point of view of your camera is going to change, and the camera is dumb, or the software is dumb. So when you change your point of view, the reflection is going to change also. So if the reflection changes, then the result in the picture is different. So it's going to be hard to recreate that part of the scene. Having said that, this is not a big problem in some situations. Why? Because you may be able to recreate other parts that didn't have a high specularity level, and you can recreate based on photo referenced modeling in Blender, for example. You can recreate that object, and you can bring that object here in the photogrammetry software and texture it, and it will texture correctly because the positions of the camera are in the place. So the software is going to project the textures, and if there is some geometry occluding that part of the image, it's going to correctly project and it's going to give you the object with the texture. But what texture? It's going to be a bit of a mess because it's a reflective object. So from there, you have to go to Photoshop, to Blender, to whatever software you want, clean up that texture, and go to your 3D software or to your game engine and provide a correct shader for that part of the object. But you can recreate shiny things. You can recreate things with a high specular level. Apart from that, if you have problems and you are in the need of recreating just one object, you can use one special spray that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find here. Let me check. Maybe in Amazon.com, not in .es, I'm sure about that. Gray spray, gray. No, I don't know how to call it because it's not a paint. It's just a spray that allows you to put dust over the object. So you kill the specularity, you remove all the specularity from the object. You can do your scan, and after that, just you use a mop or whatever you want, and you clean the object, and it's as good as new. So you can use this kind spray dust. No, I can find the spray, but you can find it if you look for it. So that's it for today. We're at 1 hour. That's it for today. I hope you like the comparison. I hope you like the 4 softwares we have here. They are pretty good. The 4 of them are pretty good. Meshroom has to evolve a bit more, but it's going to evolve pretty fast, I think, and it's going to be really great. It's going to put reality capture, Photoscan, and 3D Zephyr in trouble, because it's going to deliver as good results as all of these softwares, but as an open source software. So it's a very good alternative. I'm pretty happy that we have this, and that's it. Please press the like button if you like this streaming. Subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to press the little bell that is besides the subscribe button. And sorry if my English bothers you. I can't do anything. Sorry. I will improve over the time, but I can't do anything. And I hope you liked it. See you in the next live stream. Bye.